It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Announcer Guy. It is time for the Geno Jones Show. I guess you figured out who I am. Just heard, like I said, Mr. Announcer. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles. It is 7:30 a.m. in Tokyo. Speaking of Tokyo, we're going to talk about Miss Simone Biles. Not so much about Simone Biles. It's about everybody that's got something to say. Everybody got something to say about Miss Simone Biles. Okay, yeah. So my monologue is going to be fire. So let me just tell you right now. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Geno Jones channel right here on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, copy, and paste. You can copy the link and paste it. You can tag these episodes all throughout social media. Shout out to all my new subscribers, all right? And shout out to all my old subscribers. And if you'd like to advertise here on my channel, if you'd like to advertise on the show, I would be honored to have you. If you would like to be a sponsor, I'd love to have you. I'd be honored to have you as a sponsor. And if you're looking for the ultimate pitch man to help build your brand, your business, help move and sell your products, your goods or services, let me just tell you something. I'm the king, not the king, not the king, not the king, no, not the king, not the king. No, The king! I'm the king! I am the king of pitchmen. So much I had to say it 3 times at least. So please, reach out to me, leave me a message here on my YouTube channel. I'll give you my email address. Well, I'll give it to you now. Geno Jones Show. That's how you spell Geno Jones Show at Gmail. I'll give it to you again at the end of the show. Speaking of the show, let me just jump right into the monologue. I'm hearing, I'm reading, I'm seeing posts, tweets, social media, Instagram, Facebook, all over, TikTok, you name it. Today's athletes, today's young people, but really, today's athletes are soft. They're not like us back in the good old days. We were tough. If you were having some challenges, suck it up. Rub some dirt on it. Put some spit on it. Get your ass out there. You got a job to do. What are you talking about? Mental health. What is that? That's soft. That's for sissies. That's for punks. I'm hearing it. I'm seeing it. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, let's have that conversation. Like I said, I've heard and seen this sentiment so much with Simone Biles because Simone stepped back from the competition at the Olympics because mentally and her mental health directly affects her physical health. Now keep in mind, this is a young lady that has trained all her life. She has given up her entire childhood since she was a little girl to become truly the GOAT, the undisputed greatest of all time, GOAT acronym, where you have a word, 4 words in one, GOAT. That's what an acronym is. When you have a word or 4 letters that represent basically a statement. Greatest of all time, the GOAT. When it comes to gymnastics, men or women really, undisputedly the greatest woman gymnast ever in the history of the Olympics, outside the Olympics. Dealing with mental health, she's been very honest and open about it. She even, she posted, there was an Instagram post before all this happened last weekend. Simone talked about the pressure. And she kind of laughed it off at the end of the post. She was like, man, like the pressure and just the expectations. I feel like I'm paraphrasing. She said, I feel like I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders. shoulders, but I can handle it. Ha ha ha. And she ended the post, the Instagram post, with that ha 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 ha. You know, sometimes we have to laugh to keep from crying. We laugh to mask our pain, anxiety, fear, depression, other emotions. So she did, as a matter of fact, she did a courageous thing. She realized after performing a couple exercises that she just didn't nail. As a matter of fact, I saw one where I'd never seen her almost stumble. And when she landed, you know, normally she will stick the landing like bam. And she landed and she took like 3 steps and stumbled back. And even before that, they said in like some practice, and she talked, she just wasn't herself. Now we have and it's hard. Let me just say this. Unless you are the undisputed greatest of all time at whatever it is you do, you will never understand the pressure that this 24-year-old black woman, then you spread on the racism and the bigotry, and then you spread on the misogyny, the sexism, the patriarchy, the expectations of an entire nation, the expectations of the entire world that is looking for her to do something new that no one's never done before, because she has done so much in terms of her routines and her exercises and performances that athletically no one has ever done. Like no one even dreamed of doing. Nobody even felt that a human was physically able to do some of the things that this young woman, not even 5 feet tall, has performed. She might be 5 feet tall, maybe in heels. The things that she has performed and done with her body in midair, 20, 30 feet in the air, full speed, and she's made it look so easy. So people have just gotten numb. They're just like, hey, what's the big deal? It's just Simone Biles being Simone Biles. They've gotten used to it. They have taken it for granted because they've never, ever been in that arena. They could never dream of that level of athleticism and courage that it takes to perform these acts that really, every time you see her jump off one of these bars or do these incredible twists and turns and somersaults and vaults and flips 20, 30 feet in the air, every time she does that, there's a great risk that she could permanently injure herself or kill herself, or suffer injuries that could kill her. This is real. This is absolutely real. But somehow people want to say, well, she's soft. What's wrong with her? She's got an obligation to the team. Yes, she had an obligation to the team. And you know what? She did the right thing. And I'm going to talk about why in a few seconds. In about 60 seconds, I'm going to tell you why. Stepping back in that moment was the best thing that she could do for the team. But let's talk about this being soft. Let's talk about athletes being soft, tough. Come on, you're soft. There's no such thing as mental health. You got some mental issue. Mentally, you're not right. Come on, you're weak. You're soft. What's wrong with you? Michael Jordan would never. Oh, see, you need to be tough. Michael Jordan, he played in the NBA Finals, and he had the flu and a fever, and he scored, 45 points or whatever. Oh, Mike would never, ever, ever succumb to any type of mental or emotional pressures. But wait, would he? All right. The end of the 1993 season, Michael Jordan won the NBA Finals. Team won the NBA Finals. That was the third consecutive year. Back to back to back. First team to do that at that time in almost 30 years. Last team that won like that, a three-peat that won back to back to back 3 consecutive years. NBA champions was the Boston Celtics way back in the 60s. So Michael Jordan was the most recognizable, well-known athlete on the planet. Who's that sound like? Today, Simone Biles. The pressure of being Michael Jordan and everybody wanting a piece of Michael Jordan. In 1992, let's talk about the Olympics. In 1992, Michael Jordan, along with Scottie Pippen and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and David Robinson and Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing and Karl Malone and some other guys, even though Isaiah Thomas should have been there, Shaquille O'Neal should have been there, but I won't digress. I'll stop. Save that conversation for a different day. The Dream Team. You've heard about them. Maybe you saw them play in real time back in 1992 in the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, Spain. Or maybe you've seen the documentaries, or you've seen video, or they were blowing folks out by 50, 60 points. Shout out to USA Basketball today. They beat Iran by 55 points. Big comeback, great comeback after losing to France. We'll have that conversation in a couple days. We'll get back on this current iteration of, we won't call it a dream team, we'll just say USA Basketball representing us in the Olympics. But the dream team, the original, the only true dream team, the greatest assembly of basketball talent ever in the history of humanity. But Michael Jordan was front and center. In Barcelona, during the Olympics, there was this huge mural, like a wall painting. Got a thing look like it was almost a half a block wide of Michael Jordan. Famous pictures and famous video of Michael Jordan basically standing there looking at himself and being like, wow, that's me. He was huge. So at the end of the 1993 basketball season, when Michael Jordan won an NBA championship, or he and his team won that third consecutive NBA championship, later that summer, tragedy, horrible, something horrific that, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Like one of the worst things that could happen to any human. His father, who he was very, very close with. That was really his best friend. Not my opinion, not my words. You can Google it. Those were Michael Jordan's words. His dad, his first coach, his best friend was murdered in cold blood. Stole his car. He had a Lexus, and his dad was murdered. What did Michael Jordan do? Michael Jordan stepped away from basketball for 2 years. Not one, stepped away from basketball for 2 years. Because among many things, the mental and emotional stress of being Michael Jordan, being the face of the NBA, being the ambassador, being the face of the Chicago Bulls, there probably hadn't been an athlete that famous since Muhammad Ali. And there were rumors and rumblings and all kind of gossip that, the real reason why Michael Jordan, he was forced out of the league because the NBA and David Stern had to punish him and told him that, because Michael liked to gamble legally. Now, I don't know what I had never heard. I was in Chicago when Mike played for the Bulls, at least for about 4 years, 4 years. Well, actually longer than that, twice. But all the time I was in Chicago, never heard about Michael Jordan like illegally gambling. Michael Jordan loved to gamble. He loved to go to the casino. He would play cards on the plane with Scottie Pippen and his teammates. But many of you heard the rumors. You can Google these rumors. Michael Jordan forced to quit the NBA or leave the NBA as a punishment from the league and David Stern. Then there was the really insidious, horrible rumors that the reason that Michael Jordan's dad was murdered, because supposedly Michael Jordan, maybe he had, you heard the speculation, the rumors, maybe he owed like some really bad dudes. Maybe he owed like some mobsters money and they put a hit out on his dad. These rumors and lies, they were out there. You can Google these rumors and lies right now, today. Don't take my word for it. You can see for yourself when the show ends. So the incredible emotional burden, the stress that Michael Jordan never talked about publicly. Now, this documentary, The Last Dance, he kind of opened that window, what it was like to be Michael Jordan and to have to always be on when you meet people, everybody. People would faint. People's, like, you had kids, Make-A-Wish kids. Their dying wish was just to see, to touch and shake Michael Jordan's hand. And he had to live with this. He could not go nowhere and just be normal, because he was Michael Jordan and the whole world wanted a piece of him. And then when his father was murdered, and these insidious rumors and lies and just the fact of grieving with his dad, Michael Jordan stepped away from the game that he loved, the game that he dominated, the game where he was the best player in the world by far, at the peak of his physical powers. Walked away from this career where he was making tens, hundreds of millions of dollars with the endorsements, not so much from the Bulls, but he was the face of Nike. He had his own brand, Jordan. And he walked away from all of it. He walked away from the basketball court professionally for 2 years to pursue baseball, primarily because that was his dad's dream. See, his dad dreamed, James Jordan, God rest his soul, rest in peace, power in paradise. Mr. Jordan's dream when Mike was a kid was not to be an NBA superstar and arguably the greatest ever. We'll have that conversation. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and LeBron. Michael Jordan's dad's dream was for Michael Jordan to be a baseball player. So at 31, because Michael Jordan played Little League baseball when he was young and when he was, I guess, middle school and high school, hadn't played since at least, I believe, maybe middle school or early high school, even though I know he tried out for his varsity basketball team as a freshman, and the legendary story, he got cut and he came back and made the team, and the rest is history, and how that was motivation, that was part of, that helped build that incredible drive that Michael Jordan had, that dog that people talk about, that intense drive and desire, unstoppable will to continue to work and grind it out to be the best. But Michael Jordan, for a lot of reasons, he had to step back from basketball, because at that moment, his head wasn't in it. His mind wasn't really right. His mind was not in a space, he was not in a mental space to continue to be the Michael Jordan that the world loved and wanted and demanded and expected. He was not mentally in the space to either perform at that level or just to even do it. He needed to just step back. And nobody would ever dare say. They said a lot about Michael Jordan, but one thing they never said, that he was soft. So let me go back to Simone Biles. Simone not only put her team first by stepping back, she also put her team in a better position because she stepped back to let a teammate who was in a better place mentally to be the best version of herself in real time. This all happened on the fly while they were in the middle of exercises to compete at that moment for a gold medal. And these young ladies, young teenagers, Simone, the leader of the team at 24, and to her credit, in spite of everything that she was still going through mentally, she had the strength. She wasn't soft to where she had to just go somewhere and hide, even though that would have been okay if she just would have needed to go somewhere and to allow her emotions to come out. She still found the mental strength and the character and the courage to stay out and encourage her teammates. And in essence, to become part cheerleader, part coach, or all cheerleader and all coach. And to tell her younger teammates that you ladies can do this. You all are great. Don't worry about me. This is your time to stand up and shine. And those young ladies in that crisis moment, with the fear and anxiety of their leader, an athlete that they all admired, look up to and loved and revered. Their superwoman was like, you know, there's a little kryptonite going on right now. So I'm not at my full power, but you are. So let me step back, because I do not want you all to suffer because I can't be the best version of myself, but you all can. And I'm going to encourage you and cheer you up and be your cheerleader and coach you up. And these young ladies, in that crisis moment, won a silver medal, which really, it should be some kind of like special really, it should be a medal, you know, which you got bronze, silver, gold. Maybe they should have a platinum medal, because what those young ladies, many of them had never been in the Olympics, first time competing in the Olympics, for them to step up in real time and win a silver medal was incredible. So we talk about soft. We got this thing so backwards. We really do. So I just want to challenge all the conversation. Oh, by the way, for those people that want to call Simone Biles soft, I'm going to wrap up the monologue. I just want to drop this on you, all right? You say that she was soft, she wasn't mentally tough. Okay. Simone Biles was so mentally tough that she became the greatest gymnast ever while living with the horror of being sexually assaulted and molested, along with hundreds of her other teammates, by her former team doctor, Larry Nassar, who's sitting in a jail right now, serving what? I think he was sentenced to like 175 years. 175 years in jail for sexually assaulting so many members of the women's gymnastics team for the United States. And Simone Biles was one of his victims. As a matter of fact, Simone said herself, she is the only remaining team member that was a victim of Larry Nassar. So she has to live with that. So can you imagine, every time she performs an exercise in practice, every time she performed at the U.S. trials, the United States trials to see who was going to make the Olympic team, every time she performed this year in Tokyo at the Olympics, Can you imagine maybe that environment, performing those exercises, could have triggered memories of what happened after she performed when her team doctor that she trusted when she was a young girl abused her trust, violated her body, molested and sexually assaulted her. And in spite of that, she somehow compartmentalized that, stored that pain. The pain, anger, fear, all the emotions that had, the anxiety, and she was able to compartmentalize that and somehow put that in the mix. And in spite of all that, became the greatest gymnast of all time. Wow. Let me ask you. I'm going to close the show by asking you this question. How many of you calling Simone Biles soft could deal with years of sexual abuse as a child by a doctor that you trusted, a doctor that your coaches and maybe adults around you trusted, and this person violated that trust? How many of you all calling her soft could deal with years of sexual abuse as a child and then go on to become the greatest of all time at what you do? I'll wait. Well, not really, because I got to end the show. But that's my monologue for today. So when you think about calling Simone Biles soft, I just wanted to kind of just throw that scenario and ask you about, would you have said that? If Michael Jordan was being Michael Jordan today in 2021, and his team had just won its third consecutive NBA championship, and this summer he stepped away from basketball. He said, listen, I'm out. I can't do this. Because when he announced that he was retiring, and at that moment in real time, the summer of 1993, at that press conference when he had on like this canary yellow suit, it looked like, a light yellow suit. I'll never forget it. It looked like it was yellow. It was a great looking suit. And his wife at the time, his ex-wife, who was not his ex, Juanita Jordan, Vanoy. Now, when she was there with him, if that happened, if that scenario was to happen right now, if it would have happened this summer, how many of you all would have called Michael Jordan soft? Oh, suck it up. You're not tough. That's the problem with these athletes. They're soft. They can't handle any pressure. How many of you all would have said that about Michael Jordan? How many of you would say that now? I doubt. Very few. Had to be some real dire. And there's a few of y'all out there, some real, just Michael Jordan could come up with a cure for cancer and you all would still hate him. For a lot of, and the haters have their reasons. I've heard it all. But I digress. I guarantee if you did a poll, probably 90 to 99% of people wouldn't call him soft. So don't call Simone Biles soft. Would you prefer that she would have somehow tried to self-medicate, turn to cocaine or pills or alcohol, or try to suppress it, and then in midair, she comes down and we would have seen some type of horrible tragedy where she was permanently injured, paralyzed, or worse? Would you have called her soft then? For her to literally put her life on the line? For what? For who? For people to feel sorry for her and say, let's, prayers up and all that and prayer emojis. And in 6 months to a year, forget about her and look to see who's going to be the next potential Simone Biles, which I don't know if we'll ever see another Simone Biles. Would have forgotten about Simone Biles. She would just, oh, what a tragic story, man, too bad. Oh, hey, you see this new young girl? Oh, she's good. Unfortunately, that's life. There's so many, I do have the time, but I don't have the time. I can think of, there's so many athletes, NBA basketball players, pro football players, the 80s and 90s, incredible talent. I can just throw some names, old school names, 80s basketball guys like Derek Coleman, Ray Tarpley, Michael Ray Richardson. Just incredible Hall of Fame talent level. Actually, were all-stars, had flashes of greatness, but the pressures of being a pro athlete, the pressures of going from poverty to the penthouse, the money and all the pressure, your family, everybody in your family expects you to buy them a house and a car, and you got to send there all your cousins and everybody, your nieces and nephews. You expected to send all of them to college and pay their tuition, room and board for 4 years, buy them a car, buy every aunts and uncles and cousins and former coaches, expect you to buy them a house, get them out of debt, pay off gambling debts. And a lot of those guys couldn't deal with that pressure. And they self-medicated. But they weren't soft. They toughed it up. But they didn't tough it up. And their career, and in some cases, their lives. They paid for it with their career. In some cases, their lives. So Simone, my sister, I salute you. I salute your teammates once again. I didn't get a chance to really get this off my chest yesterday, because I still see and hear this talk about, oh, athletes are just too soft nowadays. Okay. All right. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. Just remember what I said. Would you say that about Michael Jordan if Michael Jordan retired today after winning 3 straight NBA championships, just walked away from the game? Because just trying to deal with the trauma and the tragedy and the horror of knowing that your dad was murdered. Would you call him soft? If that happened today, God forbid, as opposed to almost 30 years ago. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life as always. God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show live. I come to you live right here on my YouTube channel Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles, California. Shout out to Andre Russell out there at KJLH Radio. Stevie Wonder's, owned by my man Stevie, the 8th wonder of the world, Stevie Wonder, who I had the honor to work for back in the early 90s. I hosted a morning show out there in Los Angeles. And 7:30 a.m. in Tokyo. Well, once again, I salute all the athletes, Team USA, all the athletes in all the different events. Shout out to USA Basketball. Shout out to the USA Women's 3-on-3 basketball tournament. They won the gold medal, I believe. My sister Dawn Staley, who is the head coach of the University of South Carolina, which is about not even an hour and a half drive north of where I am standing, from where I am standing right now, who recently interviewed to be a head coach for the Portland Trailblazers. And I hear she aced the interview, even though they hired Chauncey Billups. And I predict, you heard it here first, right now, that Dawn Staley will be the first woman head coach in the NBA. Yeah, I know about Becky Hammond, and there's some other sisters. I believe Sister Teresa Edwards is, I believe, in New Orleans. But you heard it here first. So shout out to Dawn Staley. Sisters, just dynamite. She's one of the greatest point guards in the history of women's basketball, and she is doing her thing, and she has turned the University of South Carolina, not the University of North Carolina, the University of South Carolina into a national college basketball powerhouse for women's basketball. Not UConn, not the University of Tennessee, not Stanford, not Notre Dame, even though, yeah, they are still considered powers. But now they had to make room. Or Dawn Staley and her team, she made them make room for the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. So shout out to Dawn Staley. All right. Like, share, and subscribe to the Geno Jones channel. Once again, tell everybody you know, everybody, strangers, former classmates in middle school, high school, college, grad school, doesn't matter, no school at all, street school, street corner, church members, co-workers, cousins, friends, enemies, folks you don't like, folks you did time with, folks you did dirt with, whatever, exes. Tell them to make sure that they like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I got to get my likes and my likes and my new subscribers up. It's grown so much. But help a brother, help a black businessman, help an entrepreneur, help a black entrepreneur in this era of racial reckoning and supporting African-American businesses and business owners. All right, all these corporations in their racial diversity and inclusion mode. And I support that. Some people call it corporate white guilt money. This going to a lot of companies, universities, and nonprofits. It's all good. Guilt or no guilt. Don't have to feel guilty. If you do, I'm right here. If you don't, if you just really believe in diversity and inclusion, holla at your boy, because I am the king of Pitchman. All right, I will deliver for you, your brand, your business, your product, service. So let's form a relationship, a collaborative team partnership with the Geno Jones Show and the Geno Jones brand. Just send me an email, genojonesshow@gmail. All right, my name, the name of the show, without just Geno Jones Show, all one word, genojonesshow@gmail. Or leave me a message here on my YouTube channel. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram, on IG, KLB Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. Shout out to Mr. Bruce Gage, one of the wardrobe consultants and stylists for the Geno Jones Show. You can check him out on Instagram, on IG. Just do a search, Bruce Gage, Gage, and Alexandria Jones, official wardrobe stylist and consultant for the Geno Jones Show. Fashion designer and a fashion design major, brilliant, going into her sophomore year, student at my alma mater, Columbia College, Chicago. Check her out. Lexi, LEXIE _ is the line at the bottom. Lexi _ Nicole Designs, or because she's a supermodel. Real talk. You'll see, just go Alexandria Jones. ALEXANDRIA. Alexandria Jones. All right. Also an official wardrobe stylist and consultant for the Geno Jones Show. Have a great show. I love you. I really do. I love you so much for watching. I thank you for your support. Man, the show is rapidly growing. I love you. I really do. Mother, you know I love you more than life itself. And Mother, tomorrow, my guest tomorrow, yes, one of my regular contributors. He is the official COVID-19 expert, Dr. Damon Arnold, one of the top public health and infectious disease experts in America. His brother, based in Chicago, formerly the public health director for the state of Illinois. We're going to talk about getting this vaccine, all right? And I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We're going to talk to everybody, but my brothers and sisters in the community that I come from and communities like mine, where I grew up on the south side of Chicago, big cities, small towns, we got to have a conversation. We got to talk, because we're going to have to do this vaccine thing. All right? We're going to act like we're in a barber shop or in a hair salon or Friday night over somebody's house, at your cousin's house, or your sister, or your brother-in-law, or your house. You know, you got the card party going on, and you know, you take a break and you're talking about this vaccine and about COVID with this Delta variant, this new strain, that's like 1,000 times more contagious and more deadly, and it's killing younger, healthier people. Like, for real. We're gonna have that conversation. And we got to talk about being our brothers and sisters' keeper, that we can't just be out here being selfish, because it's not even about you. It's about people who can't get vaccinated because they are undergoing chemo treatment, or they recently had chemo treatment or cancer, and their immune system is so compromised. Or maybe they had an organ transplant and they're on like immune suppression drugs to suppress their immune system so that the new organ in their body won't be rejected and they die. So their immune system is compromised. They're taking drugs to suppress their immune system so they can't get a vaccine. Or our children under 12 years old, it could be your son or your daughter, your niece or nephew, your little godchild, or your neighbor's kid across the street or next door that's too young to get vaccinated. And we got to stop being selfish. This is not about, because, you know, we have to protect each other. Because you don't protect somebody else could have your mindset and say, I don't want to protect, I ain't protecting nobody. But then the person that they infect and possibly die could be somebody that you love. So we are all in this together. So we're going to have that conversation tomorrow. I got to get out of here, everybody. Thank you once again so much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing the episode. Thank you for tagging your friends and coworkers and people's social media pages, for copying the link, screen grabbing some of the commentary, some of the monologue, some of the heat and the fire, and turning it into a viral moment. Put it up on TikTok or Triller. Just thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for talking about it. Thank you for spreading the word, spreading the message. This is the show. It's the hottest, it's the baddest show. Tina Turner's is simply the best. And I say that with all humility. And you know why it's the best? Because of you. You bring out the best in me, and you made it the best, and you make it the best. And I love your feedback. Like the episodes. Love to see your comments. You know, underneath every episode, you can leave a comment. Love to hear from you. Doesn't matter. I know it's going to be some haters. The haters are the motivators for me. So I'm not scared. As some of the kids say on the show, I ain't scared. No. Never that. Fear no man, no woman. Fear and respect for the man above. Right? The supreme being. I love you once again. Until tomorrow. Whatever time you're watching this, until Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Wow, can you believe, man, the week is going by so fast. But until Thursday, when I come to you live, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, as always, as I love to say to you, be blessed.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.